change.
Hello, everybody. I apologize for yesterday. I think I made it 16 minutes in yesterday, and then the whole internet just completely decided to crap out. So our son was playing Fortnite in the next room, and he started screaming because you know how Fortnite is. But so I figured we'd just finish up what I was going to talk about yesterday. Don't know how long we'll be going. But we'll see. Again, I'm new to this. I don't know what I'm doing here, but so it might be another train wreck, but we'll go from there. So I think I left off yesterday, just kind of telling my story. I told my story if you want to go look at that other video. So I told my story, and I was at the point I was saying, you know, my first neurologist I mentioned, you know, was not the greatest in the world. I'm not going to say names, of course, but so then I went to Google, and I remember in the chat yesterday, several other people went to Google as well. And it was just like, it's scary, right? The internet is that double-edged sword. I think I mentioned this in the last video. You have really, really great info on the. You have really great info on the internet, but then on the other hand, if you're not in the right spot, you know, it can be really dangerous out there. There's a lot of fake news, I guess, if you call it. That's a popular term, I guess, these days. But there's a lot of fake information out there, so you got to be careful on where you look. So I went to online forums, and then I found social media, and then talking to you guys is what helped me accept this disease. And you know, you realize that it's not the end of the world, right? It's a new start, it's a new beginning. This thing's manageable, right? We can take care of this. You know, you realize that all these misconceptions out there. You know, am I still going to be able to work? I mean, I know not everybody can work, but you know, there's a good portion of people with MS that can continue to work. There's a good portion of people with MS that aren't in wheelchairs. You know, so there's all these misconceptions out there. And then I just remember like how relieved I felt, like actually finding the MS community, and just you know, just that sense of relief, I guess, that that would bring. So I'm stumbling my words here, but so I wanted to do my part, right? So I didn't want anybody else that's newly diagnosed to feel how I felt. So that's where the idea of Must Stop MS came from, actually. So it all started on Facebook. It was the Facebook page Must Stop MS, and the term Must Stop came because I was trying to figure out a walk MS team, and I was like, well, what can I use with the letters MS, and then, you know, M, must for M and stop for S. So that's where Must Stop MS was born. You see my wife moderating the chat over here. So yeah, let us know if you're in. Let us know where you're watching in from. We're in Maryland here. But so Must Stop MS was started as a place to provide, one, factual information, you know, to provide a place where people can, you know, support each other, right, and make connections. And then so then expanded to Twitter and Instagram and all these other social channels. And now I'm looking here at YouTube. And again, I'm hoping to maybe make some videos or start vlogging or doing like I don't know if you could still use the word podcast if it's video, but maybe just like have guests and interview and just get your stories. So hi, Melissa. Hey, Luann. And just want to get people's stories and find out who they are beyond MS, right? So MS is not who we are. And that's one of my plans with having people on. And I know with technology these days and video, you know, we can have guests and we can chat and things like that. And so 5 years ago now is where Chat MS has came from. I know a lot of you have joined into Chat MS. If not, it's a weekly chat that we do dedicated to MS. Started on Twitter. So to follow along, you just type in hashtag Chat MS, and it takes place at 7 o'clock Eastern time every Monday night. There have been some times I have to push it off or so, but so we actually just passed our 5-year mark of Chat MS. So we've actually been chatting every single week, aside from holidays or things like that. So we've actually chatted every single week, and we try to choose a different topic every week in regards to MS. So we've done symptoms, we've done emotional stuff, and there's so many different things. And actually we've had guest hosts. You know, if you've participated in these chats and you want a guest host, please let me know, because it's a lot of fun. And if anything, like your phone, like if you have your notifications turned on your phone, like you'll be getting notifications like all week long, because just that many people like follow up in different time zones and things like that over the next day or two. So I really appreciate everybody here that has joined that. And again, 5 years now is awesome. And so we've expanded the chat from Twitter to Facebook. If you are not in our Facebook group, it's a private group. It's just named hashtag Chat MS. You can join there. So I post the questions there as well. I know some people like Facebook in the private group setting because of the privacy. So on Facebook, only people that are in that group can see your posts, so some people feel a little more comfortable there. And then if you look on Instagram now, again, it's also Must Stop MS is the handle. If you look on Instagram, I've been posting, I guess I've been doing screenshots, of my Twitter posts and putting them on Instagram as well. So there's actually right now 3 different places you can get feedback from those in the MS community. And the chat was created, one, to bring those people together, right? To bring the community together for support, because you can't have a big enough support system, right? And I think we all know that having that support system is like one of the most crucial things we can have when we're dealing with this disease, right? So I know I've made, tons of different connections, and I hope you guys have too. If not, and you haven't checked out the chat yet, it's #ChatMS on Twitter, the ChatMS Facebook group, or even Instagram. It's a great way to meet other people with MS. And
sorry,
it is not coronavirus. She's got a cold, and every time she coughs, I give her the evil eye. So I do have my water. Hi, Renee. Hi, Diane. I do have my water. It is really water. And one of the hydration is one of those things I'm absolutely terrible at. So I've been really making a, are you sure? So staying hydrated is actually really, really tough for me for some reason. It's one of those things. Actually, I think we did this as a topic a few weeks ago, and it seems like I'm not the only one. And like, I'm so bad at it. Like, I'll literally go to work in the morning, obviously before all this, and I'll have like 2 cups of coffee in the morning, which is also like a diuretic, right? So that doesn't help. And I would literally go all day long and not drink anything else. And even like me saying that right now is like the most ridiculous thing in the world, right? Because it's like, who does that? Like, who doesn't drink? But I would do this. So then like maybe like 3 days later or 4 days later, I just start feeling miserable. And I've been to the point to where like I thought I was like having like MS symptoms. Like I thought I was maybe like flaring up to where I had to reach out to my neurologist, because I would just be fatigued. I'd be super fatigued. I'd have trouble like concentrating. Like my cognitive just wasn't there. And it was bad. Right. So I would go, and I even talked to my neurologist one time. I just touched my face. I know. It's really hard not to touch your face. So I called my neurologist or emailed through the patient portal, and he wrote back and he said, yeah, it could be, pseudo symptoms, I think he called it, or it could be, just symptoms being aggravated. And he's like, I can call you in like a steroid pack if you want. And I got to thinking, I'm like, when's the last time I actually had water? So then I just started like pounding water. I had like the next 2 days, I had like over like 120 ounces of water, I think. And all of a sudden I felt great. So it makes me wonder too, a lot of times, especially with seeing that chat we had on hydration, like how many people are in the same boat to where they might think their MS is acting up, but maybe it's a hydration thing. So one thing I've been really focusing on this week is drinking some water. So drink up. I got my Meat Fight water bottle. I'll tell you about Meat Fight here in a sec. If you have not heard of Meat Fight, I know Diane's in here. She's also a meat fighter. But Meat Fight is this nonprofit organization out of Dallas, Texas, and they're called Meat Fight. They do all these big like barbecue competitions and things like that. But what they do is they raise this money and they actually gift bikes to people that have MS, so they can actually participate in bike MS events. I know for me, we started with Walk MS, and then we volunteered at Bike MS probably 3 or 4 years. And then I always said, I'm going to get a bike. But, I know everything's expensive, and I haven't ridden a bike since I was a little kid, right? So I went and found Meat Fight, and I was able to get a bike, and they gave me, not only just a bike, but it was the bike, it was the helmet. I had everything, right? I had water bottles, I had everything I needed to get started. And I was able to ride, in our first event last year. And it's like such an amazing experience. And I've heard people say, even with like balance issues, they'll never be able to ride a bike. But if that's something you're interested in, absolutely reach out to Meat Fight. Just go to meatfight.com, and there's an application right there. And the only the stipulation, I guess I'll say, is if you're gifted a bike, you do have to cross the start line not the finish line. You have to cross the start line of a Bike MS event within 1 year of getting the bike. But it's really great. I mean, the Meat Fight's such a great organization. So if you haven't looked at them yet, it's a lot of fun. Check out their Facebook page. I know they have an Instagram page. A lot on, but check out Meat Fight. And I mean, it changed my life just being able to participate in these events. I'm actually a co-captain of the Meat Fight Bike MS team this year for the Chesapeake Challenge. Hopefully that event still happens, of course. So again, meatfight.com, check it out. It's such an amazing organization, and they do so much for people living with MS. So the bike ride I was just talking about is in June. I want to say it's mid-June. So we'll see if it gets canceled or not. I know the MS Society has canceled, I think, pretty much all their walk events through June. Has anybody else here had walk event that was canceled? Thumbs up or any other emoji to signify that. So our local walk event was supposed to be early April this month. So that one was canceled. And we were supposed to do Muckfest as well, which is another fun one if you haven't had a chance to do that. But you get all muddy. And Muckfest is also in June. And as of right now, that one's still on. So we will see if Muckfest and then Bike is still on. So okay, so there's all right, Zions canceled in May. So as of right now, the last update I heard from the MS Society is all the walks are canceled through June. I think the bike events are canceled through May 17th, I believe. I know Meat Fight. I know there was one down in Dallas. They call it the mothership ride, I guess they call it. And June 5th and 6th. Is that Philadelphia, Diane? So so I have a feeling, unfortunately, these are going to get canceled.
Sorry.
I have a feeling these are going to get canceled because obviously we're in the whole fear of the unknown. Luann, by the way, since you just said support meetings, get in contact with Diane. She actually does a support group in State College, Pennsylvania, but now she's actually moved to virtual, so she's doing it on a weekly basis. I'm sure she can get you the link, the information. You get laughed at. So again, we're all in this unknown period, right? Which is why, again, I wanted to do this video to reach out. And actually, I'm not really the most comfortable in video, as you guys can probably tell. Though I don't think I've said yet. So I don't know who's keeping track of those.
Yeah.
But I have. Okay. So I don't know who's keeping track of that. But so this COVID-19 or coronavirus has a lot of us scared, right? And the good news is, if you look on Twitter, if you guys are on Twitter, and I know most of you guys are coming from the chat, but there is a hashtag. Let me type it in here real quick. But there is a hashtag you can follow. It's a hashtag MSCovid-19. And what that is, actually, a lot of neurologists from around the country, or not around the country, around the world, from different countries, are using this hashtag, and they're actually reporting cases of COVID-19 with people with MS. And there's actually been several reports on many different medications. I know 3 or 4 of them on Gilenya now, which actually kind of reassured me a little bit because that's what I take. I know Gilenya is immune. It suppresses the immune system, and they're doing well. So the patients are doing well that had it. There's been reports on Ocrevus, Tysabri, Tecfidera. So there's reports coming in from other countries where MS patients on DMTs are getting this virus, and they seem to be doing okay, which gives a little bit of reassurance. So there's a lot of unknown again out there. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, right? So I know here in Maryland, I think we are up to 147, maybe 147, 150 cases. And what's crazy to think about, right? So here in Maryland, so 147, and we have like 6 million people here in Maryland. And if you look at that, 200 and I don't know what the worldly number is, but 230,000 cases or whatever. And you think of like the world population, it's like so tiny, right? So I can see how people look at that and they're like, wow, we're shutting down the whole world, for this small percentage. And, then you get people that are just like, oh, well, it only affects the elderly, right? I'll be fine. Like, just go out there. But people got to realize that's like, it's not just the elderly, right? It's people like us. It's people that have these weakened immune systems or have these underlying conditions that they don't think about. And it's really selfish of them, right? Like, just because they'll be okay doesn't mean that they're not going to carry it to everybody else. And when you hear people like oh, it's just the elderly or whatnot, or, oh, it's only 8,000 people that died. But if you think about it, I mean, that's 8,000 people. It's probably higher now, but that's 8,000 people that have died. That's 8,000 people that would still be here today if it wasn't for this virus. And it's like, if you're just going to disregard that, like, how selfish is that? Right. And then, you have the crowd like that are going you're going to spring break in Florida and packing the beaches. Like, they don't care. Right. Like, they've interviewed, I'll use the word millennials because that's what everybody else uses, but they've interviewed these college kids. I guess I'll say, I won't use the word millennials. So they'll interview these college kids and they're just like, oh, I don't care. I'm just going to party it up and whatever. But no, it's more about that, right? You got to go home to your families, right? You got to go home. Like, I'm sure they have somebody in their family or somebody that they're close to at some point in time who's either elderly or somebody that's immunocompromised that they probably don't even know about. And just locally, actually, I'll tell you, I saw a Facebook post just earlier this afternoon that there was a local drugstore here that was open, and they were in there, and there were two guys in there, and they were going up to people, and they were coughing in their face on purpose while the other one was recording it. And so that's going on, YouTube or TikTok or Snapchat or something. But like, this is how people are treating it, right? So to go up to somebody and like cough in their face on purpose at a time like this, like, people aren't taking this seriously. And this is why we're probably going to end up, going to like full lockdown or something, because people don't care. And the thing is, it is scary, right? It may be a small percentage now, but we know this thing is going to spread, and it's so important to flatten that curve. I know we've kind of used that term a lot. We're probably all sick of that term, flatten the curve. But that's why we're locked down, right? We don't want to overload our medical centers. We don't want to overload, our doctors and our nurses and run out of medical supplies, right? So if we can smooth this thing out, the Tide Pod generation, you're right. The Tide Pod the Tide Pod generation. I've seen videos of people like licking doorknobs or like stale.
Sorry.
I see people licking doorknobs or stair rails. Or I even saw one that was like an airplane toilet seat or something. And it's like, what? So people aren't taking this seriously. And that's why we keep having to do these restrictions. Like, you're seeing cities, San Francisco, I know Illinois just did it, New York's doing it, where basically they're saying, don't go outside, right? Don't go outside unless you have to. Like, we're going to mandate that. And that's because people aren't taking this seriously. And I know we're all using the hashtag, but it's one of those things where kind of like with MS itself, right? You ever hear that term that says you don't get it until you get it, which is true. We can try to explain, but a lot of people, if it's not affecting their lives, a lot of people don't care. And that's the sad thing about the world today, right? Like, people don't care unless it affects them. And I think one thing, I saw an article, and I meant to single it out here, but about like some good things, right? So just think of how many people are like coming together now and, having that family time, right? They're having that family time. They're having that together time. They're finding other things to do. Maybe they're putting the electronics down. Maybe they're, just spending more time together. And I saw a couple stats that said in China, with everybody being locked down, the pollution over there in China is like going away. Like, people, like the smog has disappeared. Or in Italy, like the waters are so clear now, you can start to see the fish again. Or, the swans have come back. And it's like, just think about that. Like, how cool is that? If like the world can actually come together and like be better after all this comes through, right? Like, if you think about it that way, like it shows that people actually can make a difference. I know that was kind of a little ramble there, but again, hey, no agenda. I'm just talking from the hip here. You hear a lot of people in the news too in regards to these tests, right? We don't have enough tests. We don't have enough tests. To me, it's one of those things to where I don't really know if the number of tests matters, right? Because if you're sick, right? If you're sick, stay home. And that's what I think boils all down to. I've seen videos of, I've had to go to work every day with this terrible cold and I need to be tested. I'm like, no, if you're sick, stay home. You don't have to be tested to distance yourself from people. If there's anybody here that's just feeling any of these symptoms, like, just stay home and call your doctor what you're supposed to do. So things like that. Just reading through the chat real quick here. First newborn case in Maryland. So, okay, so we had a 10-month-old, right? So we had a 10-month-old that was diagnosed or that tested positive for the virus today, and as well as a 5-year-old. But for what they said, they're actually being treated at home still. So that's a good sign, even for the 10-month-old. And a teenager as well. So it's not just the old people that get this. And I think people are going to find that out. Like I expect these numbers to rise quite a bit. We actually have these drive-through testing centers set up around now. 49 cases in Oklahoma, and 22 of them are under 40. Okay, so there you go. Almost half of them, are under 40 years old. So I'll stop talking about the COVID-19 now, because I know we're all kind of sick of hearing it. But I guess what I wanted to say about that is, we're all in this together, right? We're all scared. The Twitter hashtag I put up there, there's actually some reassuring news coming out of that. Let's see. Other than that, again, I just wanted to kind of come on here and finish up what I talked about yesterday, what I started yesterday before the internet dropped out. I'll do more videos. Just trying to figure out how we're going to work this thing. My laptop I'm working right now is actually really old, which is why the camera is a little grainy. I can't do anything from my phone or my iPad until I hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you guys want to share this, we can get a better picture here without buying an updated laptop. Fundraising actually is somebody asked Patty. I don't think she's on here. Patty, if you're not following her, Patty Long on Twitter, I think it's MS in it. I'm blanking. She's gonna call me out for this one probably. But she asked some questions the other day about like what are some of the things she can do to fundraise, right? She's never done some things, and she's had all these ideas, and they were like perfect for fundraising, right? Like or awareness, right? It's MS Awareness Month. I know I've been posting infographics every day. I know I fell a little behind. I got called back up today, and one of the ideas she had to post awareness is she took a picture of her brain. And then she took a picture of her brain with the lesions in it and, did a side-by-side kind of like, this is your brain on drugs kind of thing. Remember those old commercials? And it's even the simple things as that we can do to raise awareness this month. And, I know the MS Society talks about MS Awareness Week. I know I keep it going all month. And there it is, MS in it for life. Thanks, Diane. Thanks, Diane. So I'm blanking. So MS Awareness Month, like to me, like when you wear the color orange, right, you see a lot of things have colors, right? So breast cancer awareness is pink, right? Everybody sees pink in the month of October and they know what that is. Where to me, like one of my missions is to make orange the pink for March, right? And, I have, the orange wristbands, the orange watch bands. I know a lot of my bike accessories are orange. When I go out, I try to wear a lot of orange and things like that. But, with MS Awareness Month, it's another one of those things too. I got orange ties. It's another thing too, to where there's no wrong way to be an advocate, right? So just by posting your story out there, like you're such an inspiration to other people that you probably don't even know about. And that's the brilliant thing about advocacy is there's no wrong way to be an advocate. Just making yourself available. Just making yourself available for questions, right? Like, hey, if you have a question about MS, let me know. Or, ask me. And, that's advocacy, right? You don't have to go out and just do what somebody else is doing. You don't have to do any of that. Like, find what works for you. Find what you're comfortable with. Like I told you this right now, I'm not comfortable with, but I'm doing it, and that's okay. I do a lot on social media, things like that. I mean, I've gone to, I've done some of these walk events. There used to be a walk. It got canceled a couple years ago, but it was called the Chesapeake Challenge Walk, and it was a 30-mile walk. It was a 2-day, 30-mile walk. And a friend of mine, Jim, he'll be at Muckfest as well if you guys happen to be there in Philly. But he always dyes his hair. Like he'll just straight up dye his hair like bright orange. And we walked this whole 30 miles in like this spandex like superhero suit. And I mean, the looks we get, right? If you're walking down the street in a superhero suit and orange hair and a cape, like people are going to look at you like you're goofy, right? But that's okay. You're getting the attention. That's advocacy, right? You have a chance to talk to them about MS. And again, there's no wrong way to do that. So, find what works for you. It's hard to break that I guess I'll call it the fourth wall, to where we can post a lot of stuff, whether it's, on Facebook or Twitter, or we can do whatever. We can post a lot of stuff, and it might get a lot of shares, but the majority of those shares are going to be inside the MS community itself. But the thing with advocacy is it can be frustrating, right? If nobody listens, like we talk to many who's like family members, just like have no idea, and they refuse to learn about the disease or things like that, and it just makes that difficult, right? But if you can just make one person aware that everything that we're doing right now is completely worth it, because you have one more person that is aware of this disease that will start to fight for you and fight for us, that no matter how much effort you put in, no matter how much frustrations you had, you get that one person, for every 1,000 no's, you're going to get that one yes, or whatever that thing is. Whatever that saying is, but it's true, right? For every 1,000 no's, you're going to have somebody that says yes, or you're going to have somebody that listens to you. So don't give up, right? And just keep pushing and keep pushing. But anyway, it's about 8:30, guys. I guess I'm going to go ahead and get off here, but thank you for joining me. We'll get some more videos out to you. I'll have some cool things planned, and we'll see what we can do more. Again, I appreciate it, and have a great night, guys. See ya. If you want to subscribe, I don't know where the button is.
The bell. Smash that bell.
There's a bell, I guess.
That's correct.
Have a great night, guys.